Welcome to this special edition Markets Daily from Consensus 2025's. Our next guest is the CEO and founder of WisdomTree, an ETF powerhouse with $119 billion in assets under management globally. As Wall Street meets Web3, he's helping redefine how investors access and engage with the markets of the future. Jonathan Steinberg, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. You were on stage this morning, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Your session was called, Can We Call It an Asset Class Yet? How Serious Investors Can Engage in Crypto. My question for you, can we call it an asset class yet?
It's not quite an asset class yet, but it's moving it well along the way. I mean, Bitcoin is fully established for sure. And I think what we've done with CoinDesk with our Global 20 or the CoinDesk 20, those kinds of products I think will really go a long way to mainstreaming the asset class for investors.
I wrote that title, Jen.
I was going to say, Andy, weren't you there?
And I was also there,
Andy
and I
was
have
there.
to agree, Bitcoin's super established. CoinDesk 20 is going to be a great QQQ of crypto to make that rest of that distribution process easy. And WisdomTree, 119 billion in assets. I got to say, you accumulated that the hard way, right? It's all WisdomTree known for new stuff, for breaking down barriers, for giving access to new ideas, which means you need to educate and then you need to distribute. I guess done a great job in crypto so far. How about the tokenized products? How does that education process work, and how do you think about mapping out the market?
So for us, digital assets is a big initiative. It includes crypto, the ETPs. We manage about $2 billion. We have about 15 exposures, most out of Europe, but more coming in the United States. As a part of that, we are trying to sort of tokenize real world assets. We now have about $150 million in tokenized assets, mostly in our money market fund, but also equities. We've tokenized gold. So I'm very bullish on tokenization on the blockchain as the next wrapper of the future beyond ETFs.
I guess, is that what serious investors should be paying attention to when it comes to digital assets? Where do you think serious investors should be looking to?
First of all, serious investors, there are a million ways to skin the cat. So you don't really want to generalize. It depends on where they are. For crypto, the asset class, it's still very early days. Most institutions in my background have not really allocated their 1 to 2 or 3%. If you did this by market cap of liquid assets, crypto would get a 2% weight, let's say. That hasn't happened to most institutions. But tokenization of real world assets, it's going to be a hard journey to displace the ETF, which has the least amount of friction. That said, when you think about the wrapper and you can make them programmable exposures, there's a lot of innovation that can come beyond just liquidity and convenience. And I'm very, very bullish, but it's a journey and we're in it for the long haul. But with this effort, I was 13 years behind State Street in ETFs. This time I wanted to be first through the regulatory door. It's easier to be first, but they made us work hard for it so far.
They did make it, yeah, they made it work hard, and they made sure the finish line was at a place where everybody was at a tie, which was, anyway, we got through that, but now I think the gates are open. So there's two things, right? Taking treasuries and tokenizing them, making them available on chain, taking crypto assets and ETFing them, making them, ingestible, right, into portfolios. Those are two different sales processes. So how do you think your distribution team, how do they think about that?
I'll tell you, what we were trying to do is we wanted to normalize crypto, the asset class, so that it could sit next to traditional assets as well as traditional banking services like the debit card. We also wanted to take traditional assets, gold, equities, treasuries, and get the seamless globalization that comes from the blockchain and blending that experience. That's sort of what our vision for this is. And much of my, well, there's crypto ETPs, which plays to the core business, and that my team does, that's what we do. We also have something called WisdomTree Prime, which is a direct-to-consumer effort. There, I'm still working through some of the regulatory hurdles to really launch it, but it's been like a 4-year journey. I'm close, but it's really an endurance test, this whole thing.
I mean, a lot shorter than the ETF journey so far.
Hopefully.
So far, right?
Yes,
And,
that's true.
You know, speaking of journeys, you just said you anticipate it being a long journey before tokenized assets can displace ETP products or ETPs. How long does that journey look like for you? What are you preparing for?
You know, when you think about, you know, like ETFs are like 32 years old. It was only a couple of years ago that they surpassed mutual funds from a revenue standpoint. So this will, and the ETF really satisfies investors. It's a very, very good experience. That said, you can't do peer-to-peer exchange of value. There will be certain things that the on-chain community has that others will want. When you look at your iPhone, it's not about a phone call, it's about the pictures, it's about the internet. Really, the on-chain community is the cutting edge, and they are going to have a better experience than traditional investors, and the other investors are going to want that seamless experience, like T0 settlement of all assets. Can't really be done on the old rails. So we're going to make that happen within WisdomTree Prime and WisdomTree Connect.
This is fantastic, you know, to realizing the limits of the ETF wrapper, even though that's been the bread and butter of the business and where you've been a leader, and now going into Connect and Prime just seemed like a next logical step. Let's go with the regulatory approval so we can get that thing rolling. I'll be the first customer in line.
Thank you.
Jono, thanks so much
A real pleasure.
for
Thank you.
joining the show. We hope you enjoy the rest of Consensus.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
That was WisdomTree CEO and founder Jono Steinberg.